Must be nice, man. Beautiful weather.
All right, Rick, you ready?
Yes, we are now live on YouTube.
All right, go ahead, Rick, kick it off.
Welcome to the show. We finally get to kick the second part off of our day. It's been a busy day. Got an episode with Luis Alejandro. We talked about the protests that are going on. And today's guest is DJ extraordinaire, Walshy Fire. How you doing?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
We're good. We're good. In these strange times that are going on in the world right now, but we're good. We're alive.
Yeah, man, that's good for you, man. Cause the thing kind of different right now. So we just have to give thanks.
Yeah. So who's Walshy Fire and what exactly does he do for some of our listeners? I think it froze.
I think, yeah, we're frozen.
This is Jamaica, so I had to just adjust some stuff, but I'm good now.
Okay. So yeah, who's Walshy Fire and what's he about? And welcome,
Jamaica. Welcome. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody can just Google that, man. Let's get to it.
I love it. So we're right now. You're obviously let's take it back because obviously we're in some crazy times right now. Everything's kind of gone from 0 to 60 very quick. We went from experiencing quarantine and COVID. So let's kind of start there. Obviously, we had a routine. You had, you were doing your shows. Your album came out. You were doing you have drum and bass in Miami. You have your, everybody kind of has a flow already going on. And then obviously COVID happens.
Stop the flow.
Yeah. How did that impact you, like with everything that you were doing? Because you do a lot.
Yeah, it impacted me the same way it impacted most people. But most importantly, a lot of people lost lives. And I did not, I did lose an aunt, but I didn't, but she was very elderly. So there wasn't much of a much like shock to the system there. But it's very sad to hear how much people went through. So what I went through, I don't think compares to what other people went through. And so for me, I dare not speak about myself at this time because I'm blessed. I'm all right. A lot of people went through a lot of worse things, and so we look to them and say, "Yo, big up, hold your head up," and we hope you come out of this as we start to get back to normal with a new, clearer vision on the world and the things that matter in it.
I know that there's a lot of heavy things happening right now, but obviously we want to also be positive in these times. What are some things that you have been doing or enjoying? Because right now you get to take like a step back. You're really busy. You're always trying to work and make music and make money and provide and do what you need to do for the family. And obviously right now we're in a space where we actually get to enjoy more family time. You're obviously back in Jamaica. You're surrounded by family. What's something that you've been enjoying during these obviously difficult times?
Yeah, just the creative process that I missed. When you're on tour, there's a lot of time and energy, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear about that, but it is difficult. And I was doing about 300 shows a year, and so there's a lot of toxic things that come into your immediate vibration. And so when I finally got a chance to disconnect and get away from all that toxic stuff, like I feel a lot healthier. I've lost about 11 pounds. I think I look better. I think I've been able to clear my mind and delete a lot of the mental files on a lot of things that were just unimportant. I was very much used to that routine. And now I'm kind of used to a routine where I go to bed very early and I wake up very early. I exercise every single day. And I ain't gonna lie to you guys, I eat mangoes every single day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm living in a place now where fresh food, fresh air, I take a hike up the mountain every single day. There's nowhere to drive to. There's nowhere to hang out. There's nowhere to drink. None of that's happening, you know. And so I get a chance to really give my body some bounce back, you know.
That's awesome. I know, obviously, like now moving, we're obviously driving now through a process of what the quote unquote new normal is or will be with COVID. I know we're especially in Miami. For me, it was a shock because I was living in New York for, since October through
Hmm.
COVID. I just came back to Miami about 2 weeks ago. And
Hmm.
to me, it's really been a shock to see the difference between New York and Miami and how they're taking this whole process. I
Hmm.
couldn't even walk out of my doorstep without having my mask and my gloves on and glasses
Hmm.
and my head covered and, covered head to toe, ready to go outside. We're here. It's like we only put our mask on to go literally in the supermarket. We walk
Hmm.
outside and it's over and done with. So
Right.
it's been a completely different process, obviously. How do you see it? I mean, most of Wynwood is halfway opened. Most of these places are slowly reopening again. How do you feel with, especially, you're working your project like Rum and Base? How do you feel that process is going to look moving forward in this new post-COVID world?
Yeah, I don't know, and I can't predict the future, but I'm going to do my best to prepare myself. But again, I have to go back to saying that people are going through so much real stuff right now that that's probably like kind of like just far on the list of things that I'm thinking about. So, you know, there's a lot more things that are happening right now that are much more impactful than me planning any parties or doing anything like that. You know, we'll get back to that when we get back to that, and that'll be fine. I'm absolutely okay with that.
Craze is just joining us in. He was off for a little bit. So I'm sure you've seen in the news that there's a lot of protesting over the death of George Floyd.
Mhm.
Um, we were just talking on an episode on how distractions could remove you from what the focus and the goal at hand is. The media is now portraying the protesters as looters. Is that something that, how's that being viewed in Jamaica? Because you're not in the States, you're in a different country at this
Yeah, it's
moment.
not being viewed. It's not being viewed at all in Jamaica. You know, I don't think. I'm sure you guys are Caribbean as well. They don't know what the heck's going on. You know, and
Yeah.
they're not worried about it, and they got their own real third world issues.
Hmm.
Let's be very honest, man. Third world issues are year round. They don't just
Yeah.
kind of like pop up. And so where we are is unemployment's always been low. There's
Mhm.
no one here with a job. There's no um, leveling up and becoming, there's none of that's happening. None of it. So you don't see any real acknowledgement of it here because it's not affecting here. But with that being said, I'm affected, of course. I live in Miami still. I still have all my stuff in America. I still do a bunch of stuff there, and I wish I was standing next to everybody. As far as the question is of looting, I think that um, what we have to do is uh, use these platforms and these chances that we get to talk to focus way more on the things that matter
Yeah.
than the things that don't, like looting. Looting really doesn't matter. It's not the topic. And like you said, yeah, we can use a word like distraction or things like that. So what I would love is just to not probably go down those distractive things,
Mhm.
not become a part of the distraction or amplifying the distraction. My opinion on looting is who cares? Nobody cares about my opinion on looting. Um, there's a way bigger thing happening, a way bigger and way more important thing happening um, than anything about looting at all.
Okay, Jayla.
I mean, obviously, with all these things kind of going on, what are is there anything that you're particularly working on or working with in the coming days? Because I know everything's been evolving. I know everybody kind of had quarantine plans and what they were dropping, and everybody's, whether they're dropping their music or they're dropping projects or they're dropping teasers. There's something. Obviously, with what's going on right now, a lot of that has kind of been pushed back or halted, and there's other incentives obviously right now. There's other projects and initiatives and things that we're obviously more focused on, that are, like you said earlier, obviously more important. Is there anything particular that you're working on or with, that you'd like to share or speak upon?
No. I was doing this thing before all of this recent George Floyd incident. I was doing a thing called Sound Clashes, which are basically like DJ battles on a Sunday. I'm not going to do that for a little while. Um, I'm not going to make I'm not going to make music for a little while. I'm not going to really focus on the things that I think were personally part of my daily process and my weekly process, my new normal. It's like a whole another new normal is now upon me, and I want to say upon anyone else who cares about what's going on. So, 3 months ago, it was a new normal, and you were like, okay, I'll do this, and then George Floyd gets murdered, and then it's like, okay, now this is the new normal. Now this is the, so focuses keep turning, and so yeah, we just focus on talking about that issue and helping the people that need to get help, that help, and hoping that people can really look at the situation and realize that it's something that has been needed to be addressed for a very, very, very long time.
And I know for a lot of people, this is actually really, really emotionally draining, because I know that it takes back to, even for some people, a lot of generations back. So obviously, and it's hard conversations all the way around. I shared earlier in the conversations that we had that I'm even battling this because my daughter, I'm obviously a white Latina. I can't hide that any way, shape, or form. But my daughter is a Afro Latina. It's very clear as day. We're very much. She says it, "Mommy, I'm brown. You're white." And she's very clear to that. And a lot of these conversations are so important to just be kind of had, to say the least.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but no, it's a thing that I think at this point we get to have these conversations, share these conversations, and I know that it's very much switched everybody's perspective on things.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said before, some people care, some people don't care. So for maybe the people that don't care, maybe it's business as usual. But I seem to doubt that even the people who don't care about George Floyd or don't care about Black Lives Matter, that they aren't um, affected in some way. And that could be totally adverse to how I'm affected or to how anyone else um, who's dealt with police negatively is affected. But at the end of the day, this is it seems like a global thing. There are places that I didn't even know were dealing with this that have protested. I've watched my friends in Holland. I've watched my friends in Paris. I've watched all of them go out there and protest and get this.
New Zealand.
Mhm. So, thank you. So yeah, so I've watched everybody deal with it the way that uh, um, I guess silently for a very long time, and now they're dealing with it publicly. And I think that's the best thing right now, is to keep the conversation and keep the pressure on a subject that is out of control. It's out of control. It's out of control. It's very, very, very much out of control. It's a sad situation. I live in Jamaica. This is a black country. This is an African country. 90% of the people here are African. So it's not the same here. But for some reason, is still some police brutality. It's still a thing. It's still a thing where, they get a badge and a gun and they get indoctrinated into a culture where they do feel above the law and they feel as if there shouldn't be any checks and balances. And so I'm really hoping that the discussions that are coming, now as we speak and after, will address these issues.
So earlier we were talking about the history of policing and how
Man, I should have been on that earlier conversation, right?
it's something that's something that's happening now. No, it's just now it's being recorded and it's being played out. And now some people that it wasn't important to them, they see that it is important to them now because of the level of humanity. Uh, Somebody lost
Right.
a
Yeah, and
little.
here's the big thing, right? Is I always think that people kind of go, well, it's not happening to me,
Yeah.
so who cares? Um, but I don't know how everyone else says it, but here in Jamaica we have the English version, which is today for me, tomorrow for you, and so these things need to be checked, not because you guys, or anybody out there really, knew a particular person or had that experience happen to them, because it's wrong, and because if you don't say something, yes, it could happen to you. You could find yourself with a police officer pointing a gun in the window of your face, regardless of what you look like. And that person could decide that they don't like a movement that you're making, or they don't like the speed that you're responding. And for some reason, his training has him so fearful that he's deciding whether you live or not on the spot. And so we want that to stop. We want that to stop. We want that decision making ability to stop. It should not be that. There should be a whole system of things that happen before we get to that point. And that's the issue that I think we're dealing with.
So at this moment in time, there's a big movement to have the police department defunded. There were some figures and some facts that were mentioned earlier. I'm going to use the example that they use. For every dollar that is invested into NYPD, there's 17 cents of that dollar also invested into what's it called? Crazy DHS, the Department of Homelessness. And in New York City, there's a big problem with the homeless.
Mm-hmm.
When the mayor took on, he shut down a lot of those centers, and now those individuals don't have resources or places to go. So just the amount of money that's invested into the police department, the point was made that that money could be invested into, whether it be social or program,
Right.
education. So there's a big movement on defunding the police. Do you agree with that?
I'd have to do some research, but I think the fact that we're having a conversation is the real wheel turning. Like, it's the best thing you could have just told me, is that there's a conversation to change. Whether or not that change is good or bad or even happens, we should all do our research. Everybody do your due diligence. Go out, learn as much as you can. The biggest problem I think that a lot of us have in America, and I'm not even going to say us immigrants or children of immigrants, but just everybody, is nobody understands the law. None of us understand the law. We don't know what our rights actually are. And so when we're confronted, what's that?
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm saying not even a lot of those officers know.
Oh man, who's that talking? Hold on.
He's our third co-host.
Oh yeah, man, BX Craze, Wagwan.
He said not even a lot of those officers that are killing individuals, even they don't know the law. So that
no, but that's exactly what I was getting to. Yeah, he's correct. So here we are in a situation where two don't know what's going on. And we know that the officer should know the law, or we know that the officer um, uh, should be able to handle the situation. But then we find out that they think they have like a couple weeks training. It's like, it's like, they don't actually teach them the law. And because of course we're in a country where every state controls, so much of their own thing, every state and every county could have their own way of doing things. It's like coaches in a sport. They all, some of them have Pat Rileys and Phil Jacksons, and some of them have super bum coaches. And so we have to live in a constant state of fear. And I mean that as the police do too, because the police are terrified. They don't know the law. They don't know what it is that a person is going to do. And so they react because they just want to go home. They just want to go home. They just want to go home. Yes, I don't doubt that tons of them get off on BS. But when they're in a situation, they want to go home, and you want to go home, but you don't have a gun, or you can't draw your gun. You know what I'm saying? And so there has to be a lot of education. And so everyone, whatever it is, I'm sorry, I forgot what you were the law that you were talking about. You don't have to re-explain it, but whatever the laws are, whatever the conversations are that are talking about change, before you jump on board, do research, and not Twitter research. Everything's there to Google. Everything's there to. There's always numbers that you can call. There's actual libraries out there in the world. I know we drive past them all the time, and we're like, yo, what are people?
Yeah.
What is, what do people go in there for? But there's a lot of information that we refuse to take in because we're worried about a lot of people that don't care about us. We worry about celebrities more than anything. I don't remember in my life being so celebrity concerned. I probably get something in my feed at least once a day for sure about Future's baby mamas, and it's like yo, who's talking about that? Who's really talking about that? And as a big man, as a man, why would I want to talk about that? Why would that be something I'm concerned with? So I'm trying to change my life algorithm. You know, that is a minute capsule snapshot of life right now. And if I got to go off the grid and if I got to stay here for another 6 months, I'll do it, whatever, because I need to change that algorithm. I don't care what a Kardashian does. So why is that more important coming to me than things that will help me learn how to grow my own food, capture and cleanse my own water, make my own clothes, and be self-sufficient, which is after these last two things we just saw, totally possible. Totally possible.
That's the only one positive we could take away from COVID and everything that's going on. You've
I feel like
learned.
everybody during COVID became like a plant dad or like a plant mom. Everybody's been growing plants
Or cooking.
and cooking too.
But I think that the fact that, Walshy was talking about it earlier, mental space, you were able to unplug and recharge and put yourself in a really good mental space. That was the best thing for me from COVID. Do you subscribe to, there's this argument about good cops and bad cops. Do you subscribe to those labels?
I'd have to. Because we're dealing with humans. I could never blanket and say all cops are bad. I personally know two police officers, and so I would say that both of them are caring. They love their communities. They really want to see people do better. Everybody in the community knows them. They're genuinely somebody that when they're off their job, you would want to hang with in real life. Um, it's just one of those things, man, where it don't take many to make everybody look insane. It just happens to be that I think that if you look at, like, I used to work at a corporate job. I used to work at IBM, And I believe that when I got into IBM, I began to take on the culture of IBM.
Yeah.
And when I began to take on the culture of IBM, I began to learn how to lie to people. I began to learn how to steal. I began to learn how to um, uh, um, deceive in a legal way. IBM taught me that. IBM taught me. They gave me scripts. They gave me classes on how to trick consumers and how to get people to buy. I was working in the mainframe department. They had there's three different things. It's um, home, which is like your laptops and those kind of things. Then mid ranges and then mainframes. And I made IBM like I think like 2 million every quarter. Me one person. And so when you're in a 5,000 people building that are all making one company $2 million every quarter, you start to and get indoctrinated in this idea of success and this idea of what we're doing is better, is good for everybody. And it revealed itself eventually that this was not just unhealthy for me. This is unhealthy for society. This is an unhealthy way for us to actually function as a society. And so I was able to see those fires and those flags after a while. It was like I got Thanos snapped right out of it. I was like, oh, whoa, like this isn't, I don't want to do this, and so I believe that they get into that same thing where you'll see somebody put his knee on someone's neck for 8 minutes and see and hear him screaming for his mom. But you'll turn your back and push people away from stopping the murder because you're indoctrinated. You can't make a judgment call that goes away from this fraternal order that
Well,
you've now become a part of.
what you're saying is exactly like you hit that shit really, really like spot on. But that's what makes me feel the opposite of how you feel. That's why I feel that there's no such thing as necessarily a good cop, right? And it's not to say like the dudes that you're talking about, and I know some dudes too, cops, and like when they're not wearing their cop uniform, great people. I would love to hang out with them. Like I'm sure that those dudes are good dudes. But the point that you just made is that once you put the uniform on and you take on that persona, that identity, and your mind tells you, you know what? Instead of doing the logical thing, which is like tell this person, bro, get your knee off this person's neck. Clearly they're in distress. That's logic. You're saying your mind tells you, I need to go against what my own logic says and follow the orders because I'm part of this indoctrinated group and this brotherhood thing means more than this person's life, So
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I feel like there's no such thing as a good cop, because the minute that you put that on and you take that on your persona, like you can't be considered a good cop. Like they're all bad.
Right.
As a whole, the role is like a bad thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I think I agree with you more than I even agree with myself. I think your point is a much more accurate point to the reality. I just like to give these like allowances, but your point I can now support. I can be truthful and support.
Level, they are good. There are people that are cops that are good people, right? Like that they're good people. And I get what you were trying to say too, which is I know people that are cops and are good people, but I feel like when people say a good cop, I don't personally agree with that. Like
it's just when you're a police officer and you hold some of your colleagues accountable, you put your life in danger because next time when you're the one making the call, they're not going to come for you. They're not going to bail you up.
They're not going to bail you up. They're not going to back you up. But just to finish what I was saying real quick, when I listen to what the brother said, and then I look at the actual truth in that. There's just an undeniable truth in that. I then say to myself, yo, you know what I just did? Is I just talked about two people in my experience of hundreds,
Mhm.
which means I've had hundreds of bad experiences.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to balance that. I'm trying to weigh that
Yeah.
with two people and act like that's a weight that makes sense. It doesn't make sense. Saying something like, yo, there's no such thing as a good cop actually makes more sense in the reality of the situations we find ourselves in than the very hopeful and very, personal. There's some good, some bad. I'm going to stay with the some good, some bad, but I have to acknowledge that the brother is speaking nothing but facts, straight facts, and that my own experiences say, man, that's kind of wild that you have to really dig super deep to a personal experience to mention a good cop versus I could ramble for days here about bad cops, and my bad cop experiences.
I mean, it goes even further where, like, for me, I remember, unfortunately, January of 2019 going through domestic violence and having a choice between picking, okay, do I call the cops and make the cops look bad in front of my daughter, which I already fear for no reason. I fear the cops for no reason. It's something that was just instilled in me. Yo, that's the cops. You obey the law. You don't do anything to go above it. You try not to get in trouble. You don't get tickets. You don't get speeding tickets. You don't get no tickets. Like, you chill. Like, you chill because your life is on the line. Cálmate. You know what I mean? So then what do I do? Pick my life or pick my daughter being scarred for life with officers that she already views in a semi-innocent way? So what do I do? All right, cool. I'm going to put my own life on the line. I'm going to let this one rock for that same reason, because I didn't want her to have that premeditated, like, okay, all cops are horrible. I know many good cops that have done nothing but protect me and my daughter through my time alone, in my time in New York, in my time in Florida, and I have had nothing but great experiences. But that doesn't mean I'm not also scared of them. And that doesn't also mean I wasn't raised that way to be scared of, like, even getting a speeding ticket, because that's just not right. Breaking the law is not okay. And these are conditions that we get kind of brought onto. And now it's like, okay, moving forward, how do I teach this to my daughter? How do we move forward? Does she get scared of the cops? Do I not scare her of the cops? Do I teach her? What do I teach her? Where do we go from here? And at the end of the day, like I said earlier, I had to remind my mother, because obviously we are of white Latin descent, that, hello, your granddaughter is Black. She's an Afro-Latina. She is a Black Latina child. Do not forget that. It doesn't matter who she was raised by, where she is raised by, whether it's in Boca Raton or not, where she was born. This is who she is. And as a child, like, I, as her mother, need to educate and grow above that.
It shouldn't be like that. Also, like, you shouldn't. Nobody should be scared or afraid to call the cops. You know, if you're in a situation like that,
Don't call the cops. Don't call the cops.
I understand that, but that's the reality of the world that you live
But
in.
it's scary. It's scary to have to, because either you scare your kid, or it escalates worse. Like,
Yes. So that's the issue.
Jayla, what you were taught was right, which is you should fear them. They're not your friends. They don't.
And they're not.
They're never. If you talk to a cop and you tell him about something and he thinks it's information that one of his coworkers, supervisors may find interesting, guess who he's gonna go and tell on you?
I
I'm saying,
have a great story. I had a friend, really close friend, who I housed in my home for months because he had nowhere to go. He got shitted on by our ex-boss. Everything. I took care of him. He was an ex-cop, decided to join the police academy in Florida. Cool. During that time, obviously, they give you a lie detector test. Obviously, I am of a floral of arrangement type of person, that I go beyond my means, and I love natural medication. So he could not lie about that, but also did not tell me about the test. So he started being weird, distancing himself. Mind you, I took care of him. I housed him. I didn't ask for anything. I made sure that he was here while I was going through my time with my husband and my daughter and everything that I was dealing with. And I took care. And what happened? He turned his back on me to his blue stripe.
Yo,
Because he couldn't lie to his people about the type of people he knew. And I quote, and I said, that's not what I need in my life. And I completely cut off because that's not even okay.
That's just how it is. Walshy, how do you feel about people that say all lives matter?
It's annoying, and I understand that people want to seem smart, and people want to seem clever, and people want to seem different, and people want to go against the grain. And in my personal opinion, and all lives matter is let's go back to new norm. It's a new norm clout chase.
Yeah.
It's a new norm clout chase. It's the new way to get to disrupt or to be a person that comes off as an independent thinker. And I think that that's very it's very like consistent with the people that I know personally that I've seen post that. They are, I'm talking about, they all are the same type of person that's like, they need to argue on social media. They live for it.
Yo, that's the
And
devil's
so,
devil's advocate people.
yeah. And so you start to realize that there are some people out there that when it comes to, like, say for instance, if Asians were going through a situation and they had a hashtag, and and it was an Asian hashtag, and it would not bother me. It doesn't bother me. And I support your hashtag. Yo, I support you with a protest. Let's get out there and talk about it. I don't see why I need to go over there and say, yo, you Asians don't understand that, yo, we all go through this. And so you got to include me in your community's issues. And that's just whack of me. There was a really good video, I don't know if you guys saw it, of a white lady who was talking about, was it cake? She did such a good analogy of cake. I'm going to mess this up. But she was like, she said, when I'm with my white friends, I try to explain to them that there's Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. And it's like a cake. And if everybody in the room got a slice of the cake, except for the Black person, and the Black person goes, hey, I haven't gotten any cake and I really love some cake. And then everybody in the rooms goes, but everybody needs to eat cake. And then he's like, okay, I know everyone should eat cake. I get it. But I would also like to eat cake. And then they go, but we all want to eat cake. And so stop crying. We all like cake. So stop crying. And he's like, yo, I'm never getting any cake. I've never gotten any cake. Why can't I also eat some of the cake that you guys also get to eat? And they're just annoyed and going, yo, my man, we all like cake. Chill, calm down, and let us eat our cake. And I just thought it was a really good analogy because it shows just how much we, in all honesty, don't fuck with each other.
Yes.
And so I'm not saying like when I see an All Lives Matter thing that it bothers me, but it does allow me to assess these people who are my associates, because my friends would never say that. But people that I do business with and people that I'm associating with that have said that, it allows me to assess a lot of what I need to go further, what I need to go forward with, and who I will be going forward with. And so I really appreciate these times. I appreciate Twitter and I appreciate Instagram for allowing me to see people in a light that I might not have gotten to see because we were just so cool and we were making money together. And and a lot of things like that. Like, let me tell you something. If you guys don't mind, I'll stir the pot a few times just so that everybody watching on just so that everybody on the
when the grass is cut, the snakes will show, bro.
Yeah, man. Just so that everybody in the live can can stand up, sit up in the chair a little bit. But today's topic obviously are the Dominicans. Are the Dominicans for blacks? Are the Dominicans against blacks? Do the Dominicans consider themselves black? Do they, do they not? Um, I know tons of Dominicans, tons, right? Easily one of my, if it's not Jamaican, that's my other group of people. Like,
I mean, the islands are so close to each other. It's not
man, they're so close,
Yeah.
and the cultures are so hilarious.
Oh.
Nobody can tell me that there's more funny people coming out of Dominican Republic than any other country, right? Like in the Caribbean, like DR, yo, the motherfuckers run the internet when it comes to jokes. They should be funny as fuck, right?
Yeah.
That little dude, the little dwarf guy, and
Theo.
yeah, PO, yo, all of them, yo,
Yeah.
they're killing it, right? And so I find myself when I'm with my Dominican friends, I'm crying, bro. I'm crying. They are funny as fuck, right? And so now here we go. Here's this. Everybody on Dykeman, what are they doing?
Oh, I'm glad you're bringing this up because me and Craze are from that neighborhood, and we
Yeah.
know the people that are. We're both Dominican, and we know the people personally that we're responsible
Well,
for.
Well, can I
all
tell you
do.
what can I tell you? Can I tell you what I've gathered from
Yeah.
what I've
Please.
seen, and then you guys can correct or add on to the build?
tell us, bro.
I've watched tons of videos. I know a few people on Dykeman, quite a few. First of all, let me talk about my personal circle of people. All of them BLM. All of them I'm black. All of them I'm Afro Latino. Like all of them claim their African side. None of them are like, nah, none of them. So it was amazing to see that. Then when I saw the videos of what was happening, I think maybe just because it might just be a hood thing, and I get it. It's like one of those things where, like, you know how you can go into any ghetto in the world and you can look around and go, I get it. I understand. I understand what that guy's doing. I understand what that guy's doing. I understand how this economy works, how this system works. I get it. I can look at the videos and I don't feel or see what I think I've seen a lot of people portray. What I saw was dudes that were like, nobody's coming on the block. I do not know you. And to me, nothing wrong with that. Like, yo, you guys just can't come on the block. And I got into a conversation with one of my friends that's black that lives off Dykeman, and he was like, "Yeah, I go home with no problem." It's not, it's not really like, yo, he's black on site. It's like, yo, we don't know you.
Yeah.
We don't know you. And so you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that this has flared up off of a few clips. It's also deep rooted though. It is deep rooted. There are mad Dominicans that are on some other shit, and so therefore it's a conversation that needs to be had. It needs to be addressed. But I personally didn't see anything that was like, yo, Dominicans don't really fuck with us like that. But you guys could tell me what the real is.
Growing up in DR, our racism is more based on class. So,
Like Jamaica.
Yeah. You can be told, like, I'm from Santiago, an area where in Santiago where I'm from is predominantly like Spaniard. Even though my grandmother's from Africa and we're mixed, I'm a little lighter, And there's areas where you get the really dark black Dominicans. And even in our own country, there is some racism that exists. But on Dykeman, intention versus impact. The intention of what was going on there was supposed to be more of, let's try to safeguard our businesses on Dykeman. And if we don't want the looting to happen here, which I'm not saying, that's a great intention. But at this moment in time, I don't give a fuck about looting. Those stores, those shops, all of them have insurance. If there's a protest that's happening, people are angry, they're enraged, they're upset. So if looting happened, It's a part of the game. It's a part of it.
Yeah,
And
but the reality is that a lot of those old school
let me finish. Let me finish that point to where it got to. So we're in this day and age where there's videos being taken immediately, and a lot of the people that were there, like I know the mayor, I know him personally. So things got taken out of context on the internet. But there was already a layer of Dominicans don't think they're black that existed. And I think when the video came out, it added to that.
Absolutely.
There's some truth to that, 1,000%. What happened on that block? Was it miscommunication or whatever it was? I just know that the guys that were there, they did apologize and they made a video together. But that's why we made the episode previous to this, because I think that served as a distraction or something to talk about other than what we really need to be talking about. Yeah. And I'm glad they did another video and they talked about the unity, and how it was miscommunication, because now all right, you guys talked about it. It became something that was online, but forget about that. This is Black Lives Matter. We want to defund the police, repeal 50A. We want things to change. So let's get back to that subject. So that's how I see that situation indictment. And for me, and Craze and Lou, it angered us because we've actually put in work there as organizing community events, doing cleanup events, feeding the homeless. We go way back. We were on the front page of the Manhattan Times, which is the main newspaper from there. And for it to be portrayed in that light kind of upset me.
Yeah, I mean, look,
he wants to jump on a video and say, "Oh, that's not what's going on, bro," because I wasn't there at the situation. I didn't know the other guys that were there. Yeah. I just knew who organized the event, and I knew the intention was right, but the impact came out wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, bro. I think that the concept that of protecting the businesses was part of that distraction. I feel like I love the mayor, and I feel like I think what he when he tries to organize stuff, his intention is always a positive one. He's a positive dude. He's not a racist dude. The mayor is black. He's not black. But I think that the issue is that Dominicans, we do have to acknowledge. I feel like there's another thing that's going on there, and like you said, it was partly a distraction. But we have an inherently racist, way of looking at things from the Dominican Republic. Even people that are Dominican that have black.
I think that's just a Latin culture thing, period. I don't think it's just Dominicans. I think it happens whether with Colombians, it happens in El Salvador, it happens in Costa Rica, it happens in Mexico. It happens in every one of our countries that the lighter system is the better system. And that's what we are taught.
Don't ruin your race by bringing me a black girl. Or, she had bad hair and shit like that. I mean, it was, I think it was nice because it stirred up a conversation that we as Dominicans need to address internally, but shit like that gotta stop. It
was just whack that the mayor and the folks up there, because I feel like the people that were involved with it, we kind of know the people up there.
And they got portrayed in a bad light. And
I think one of the other things that I would say that made me not really be too crazy about it, and I hope the mayor doesn't get mad about me saying that. But siding with the police on it,
having the police present at that point.
Having the police there, I think is what made it bad for me. I feel like afterwards, when the spin on it was something else, then it turned to something else. But initially, when I saw the message or whatever, I kind of didn't really like seeing them kind of siding with the police. And it's not that the police are bad, but it's just that to me felt like it wasn't on message. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Protest is police brutality.
It didn't add on to the narrative of Black Lives Matters when they're over here. They're here chasing their own people and siding with the police. It just wasn't a good.
That helped to frame that way of people looking at it like, oh, are y'all being racist or whatever? Because they kind of had the police, as a part of it. And I just felt like they didn't really part of what they did, and we talked about this earlier in the other episode, was that shows you the fact that they were willing to stand up and protect the businesses and do that. it shows you that we got some stand-up dudes uptown that maybe we don't need as much police uptown as they tell us.
Yeah, because the neighborhood takes care of itself.
The neighborhood needs to be able to take care of itself, and there's stand-up dudes like the mayor that are doing community work and do that kind of stuff. Even though they partner sometimes with NYPD, because the mayor has tournaments and stuff like that. Like, he does a lot of good work up there. So I feel like I didn't like that it was kind of used to discredit him in a way, but like you mentioned, it was part of this whole machine that we got in social media right now to distract us of what we really need to be talking about, which is what did we say, Rick? Defund the police.
Defund the police, repeal 50A, and not just, well, they were arrested and charged yesterday, but also prosecuted.
Yeah, convictions.
Because that's what you want at this point in time right now.
There's a lot of them that get off the hook. You'll see that they get on paid administrative leave.
Let's hope this time around they actually get convicted.
That's I think what people are kind of still don't want to celebrate it necessarily as a win, because it's like, okay, that's good. Y'all got the right charges now. Let's see if y'all gonna follow through, on those charges.
Walshy, with moving forward, like, I mean, obviously I know we're in these times right now, but I know in some way, shape, or form, we still have to kind of feed the family and move forward and still get to work. Where do you see yourself going from here post COVID?
It's not clear. Things were set in motion and they've all been canceled. But, to be honest with you, if anything has been a big lesson in this whole thing, is that it's going to be all right. It's going to work itself out. That doesn't mean don't do nothing, but that does mean begin to tap back into that creativity, begin to work towards ideas. Most importantly, if I could speak to the masses right now, I believe that communication and collaboration are the biggest, tools that you can use at this time. I don't have everything. You don't have everything. We both don't have anything happening. Instead of me trying to do this on my own, I need to collaborate with people. Let's say I wanted to use my personality as a tool to get out there and see if I can speak and see if some money can come from that. I need help with camera people. I need help with people that know how to edit. I know people that understand tech. There's several ways that everybody can amplify whatever it is that they're doing. But communication and collaboration are key. So this is not the time to be a loner. This is the time to get out there and tap into your circle. I also want to say that I find that a lot of people before the pandemic were getting away with stuff without having to put the work in. They were very much able to buy their way in. And I don't believe that we're going to be seeing as much of that as before. I believe now we're going to see a lot more people that actually work hard, are talented, and really grind out. And so to you people out there that are listening, if you are one of those people that you've not really seen much come from your hard work and your grind, I think that this is going to be your time. I believe that this is the time that you absolutely do not stop. I believe that this is the time that you rev it up, because a person with money right now doesn't really have that many places that he can spend it, or things like that. And so when people are getting to where they decide to spend their investment, I believe that they're going to invest in the people that are truly talented and work hard. And so hopefully over this last 3 months, everyone has done some form of self-evolution, and that everyone has been able to think about what it is that they really want for their life. And if working for a job is what you want, I am not mad at that. Salute to you. But for the people that found themselves in situations that were not most favorable to what they would like to do, I do think that hopefully this time you've worked diligently on what it is that you want to do. So I'll answer that question by saying that there are several things that I've been wanting to work on at this time allowed me to begin working on. I don't want to mention them but I want to continue working on them, and I want to bring them to you when they are ready to be brought to you. So I'm sure we'll have another conversation. I really like this show, and I really like what this show seems to be about, which is topics that matter to people. And so I'm fine. I'm fine. I used to sell hats in the street. I used to sell fake New Era hats in the street. I used to walk around on 441 and 183rd Street in Miami,
Yes.
and I had the link to China, and I used to sell very fake New Era hats. I used to sell cassette tapes. I'm gonna be fine. I've always been a grinder. In Jamaica, I used to hustle in the street. Anybody out there that's 35 and up, you'll remember me from Halfway Tree, which is the center of Jamaica where all the bus traffic and everything goes. And I used to go out there and I used to sell anything I could. And so a lot of people know me already and know that that's the way I've always been. And so this is not going to change anything. It's just going to focus more on things that are a little bit more digital, a little bit more technologically advanced. And so I spend a lot of hours a day working on learning a lot of these things so that I can move forward with the industries that I think are going to be big very, very, very soon. So again, I'll be fine, but hopefully everybody out there can work on what they need to work on.
I was going to say, what was the most random thing you found yourself doing during this quarantine? Because I know everybody's been picking up random hobbies and.
Yeah, definitely. Farming. I never thought I would be out here trying to farm.
Yeah.
But then I realized that the reality of not knowing exactly what it is each seed needs is a horrible. It's a what? Like, yo, I'm Jamaican living in Jamaica, but I've been in America so long that I've disconnected. And that the moment that the supermarket shut down, it's like, oh, yo,
What do you do?
And of course, all of us Caribbean people, and to anyone out there that's from the third world, anywhere in the world, you can relate to your power getting cut off every single day.
Yeah.
You can relate to cold showers, of course. Like nobody, all of us have personally killed a chicken. But when we get to America, we totally forget what it is to kill a chicken.
We take those things for granted.
We take those things for granted. We forget what it is to sit on that bucket with that chicken in the bucket fluttering and just like just trying to like yo, that chicken. I mean, I remember the process. It came back to me like this. I was like, oh yeah, I cut his neck. I drop him in the hot water. I defeather. Then I let the blood drain. Da da da. You remember immediately. And I don't eat meat, but I understand these things. And so when I got back, when I decided to quarantine here, I got back in touch with a lot of the things that I think I'll be able to never shake. I can make, I'm a papaya god right now. Like, yo, what y'all want? How many different mangoes do you guys want me to describe right now? There's just so many things that.
So you're gonna have to sell some land in Miami and get a bigger space to grow, huh?
Yeah, that's the key, man, and that's probably a good way to. Probably a good message to everybody out there. No matter where you live, hopefully, in the far back of your mind, you're realizing that if you are in a place where they cut off your food and water supply, you will pretty much be at their mercy. And so hopefully there can be some movement, right? Like if you're living in New York City, can you do what you're doing in a warmer climate? If you can, maybe you start to think about that and you say to yourself, yo, I'm going to actually need some land. I'm going to really need some land. I'm going to need a place where I can grow my own. I'm going to need a place where I can collect my own water and purify it. And so that's the main thing, I think. And yeah, that definitely sounds weird coming from a guy who went to high school in Miami, and totally came, is in Jamaica, like, yo, I don't know how to grow any of these plants. I totally lost the ability to connect with nature. And that was probably, that's definitely the thing that that happened in this quarantine.
That's awesome.
Well, on this show, we do a segment called 3, 2, 1, where you give us 3 things you've been watching or listening to, 2 things you've been reading, and then 1 thing you're doing to keep your mental space in a good air and your sanity in a good space.
Yeah, so man, this is just a weird book, right? It's just called Passing Through. But here's the thing, man, is yo, it doesn't even matter, right? It's just like, yo, I have a whole library of books that I'm getting a chance to finally like look at. It's just like, yo, of course these aren't my books. Like I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? You know, but we're gonna read it, right? It's just like, yo, it's here. We just start flipping through it. Um, I've actually gotten caught up on one of my favorite magazines, and I know this is too, but one of my favorite magazines is a magazine called Fast Company. I really love that magazine. I feel like it's for people like me who are entrepreneurs and who want to see what other entrepreneurs are doing. And so I've been able to catch up. I've read like all 12 for the year, for like a year. And I've also tapped back into my first love before DJing, which was architecture. And I've been like learning so much. I've gotten into rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole on architecture and design because I do believe that as I come out of this um, dependency on club life,
Mhm.
that this is something that I will love just as much. I'll feel just as fulfilled, and I can be happily doing this for the rest of my life. And so,
So,
architecture is something that I've been looking at super heavy, man. I'm into it, into it, into it.
Oh, I'm
Um, yeah, the I don't remember what one was, but three was TV shows. So I will say to kind of reinforce that I did not waste this time, and that doesn't mean I couldn't have watched like documentaries or I couldn't have watched like certain things, but I didn't really want to waste this time. I watched the Jordan documentary because everybody was like, "Yo, it's inspirational. Yo, it'll light a fire." So I did watch that, and that was good. There's an old show that I used to really like that apparently just came back, so I'm going to watch it. It's called The 100. It was like a sci-fi show that I was really into, and that would probably be it. I still haven't watched Game of Thrones. I haven't watched
me
like not
neither. Don't feel bad.
yeah, I just don't think I can. I just don't think I'll do the 70 hours. You know, I just don't think I'll do it. Because I'll look back at that 70 hours and I'll be like, I could have learned a language.
So much, yeah.
You
I get it.
know,
see that
uh,
Tiger King.
Did you get
what
to
do you
watch
say?
the Tiger King on Netflix?
I saw enough memes to get the gist. Yeah, that's the best thing, right? Is that you turn on your phone and people begin to take huge moments and give you microscopic views of it, and you get the gist of it. Especially if it's something that it doesn't really matter in your life, you're
Yeah.
pretty good with that. Now, on things that really do matter, you don't want to do that. You want to go research, watch for yourself, and get to know what's going on. But when it comes to things about like a guy who owns tigers and a girl who killed her husband, it's like I don't care, and so I got it. I get enough to know that this is funny, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like it's like yo, thank you, Daquan. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm good.
The one
Uh,
is one thing you did to keep your sanity during quarantine.
okay, right, got you. Yeah, man. So the one thing I did to keep my sanity, um, the question suggests something different. And so I just want to be clear that my answer to the question does not mean in any way that I was losing or would have lost. I've never
Mhm.
not
Absolutely.
been grounded and been surrounded by people who really love me. And um, I don't have any lack of love or friendship. And so I'll answer the question, but I do want to make it clear that that setup might suggest that there is some kind of like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I watch people with memes all the time
Yeah.
who would always talk about losing their mind and things like that, and in a joking way. And I was always like, yo, these are the people I should probably not fuck with.
Mm.
Because, like, for instance, there would be a friend of mine's who I know she's a loser. Like, I know she's a loser, right? I know it. I know it. And her life just really just can't get together. She can't motivate herself to do anything. And every single day for like the first 3 weeks of quarantine, meme after meme after meme about being bored, until I finally like had to be like, yo, the fuck is wrong with you? This is a great opportunity
Yeah.
to do something that you've been wanting to do for a long time. And then I realized through that conversation, there was nothing that she wants to do. She doesn't have any ambition at all. She does not have a goal, a personal goal. Like, like I'm talking about down to the bare minimum of like lose weight, exercise, like bare minimum, nothing. She had no goal. She feels like her life is as good as it gets. And no joke, I'm not gonna lie, not to make this seem like this is like a bad thing, but her job is she cleans uh, airplanes, right? And she would always post things complaining about cleaning airplanes. And so in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, well, she don't want to do this. This is just a hustle to get to something else. Cool, no problem. But then when you realize, nah, she's going to clean airplanes for a very long time.
Yeah.
She's going to clean airplanes for a very long time because she has no ambition to do anything else. And that's when,
like
again.
No, I'm sorry. Sorry to cut you off, but people like that need someone like you in their lives.
No, they don't. Because guess what? I ain't got the time or the energy. I need people doing bigger things than me. I don't want to be around anybody that doesn't have ambition, bro.
From
Yo, I'm sorry, brother. Yo, to me, if you don't have ambition in life to achieve great in whatever you're doing, if you clean airplanes, yo, you need to be working on being the manager and being the, you have no ambition, get away. Nope, I do not need to help this
even
person
with
at all.
servers and people. That's why I don't feel bad sometimes. Like, you decided to be there. You have all the choices in the world.
They get out of their own way sometimes, and sometimes you need someone like to snap you out of it. Because
but
when I remember,
I see what you're saying. Thank me for saying something.
Being in that like 16, 17, not knowing what the hell I wanted to do. But I always surrounded myself with people that are doing shit. So I was like, damn, this guy's here, this guy's doing that. And I didn't realize till like I got into my 20s that I can't measure my success with theirs. I needed to keep them around to keep myself like, okay, he's doing that, then I need to be stepping up my game also.
Right. But we need to surround ourselves with people. Yeah, we need to surround ourselves with people who we know are trailblazers in the sense that all of us are from the hood. So we watch somebody who we know personally or know through an association put one foot in front of the other foot in front of the other foot, and they've achieved something. And then all of a sudden you start to really do realize like, yo, I can do it too. So that's who I gravitate towards. This female is the kind of person that I actually stay far away from, because all I'm going to do is waste energy and time trying to get that person to be somebody that they do not want to be.
Yeah.
And so I allow them to be who they are. And, I'm trying to make Miami, I'm trying to open up Miami's version of La Marina. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to, I'm trying to open up apartment 78 down in Miami. I'm trying to do my own thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. So that's it. So to answer the question, I believe that the best thing that I did for myself was all of the things that I talked about: reconnecting with nature, deciding that I was going to live a physically healthier life, and putting myself around the people that, to be honest with you, I'm not even going to say putting myself around. This pandemic really did allow for the people that weren't really a part of your life to reveal that. You just disconnected from them. They didn't check up on you. You didn't check up on them. And that's not a bad thing, but it's a real thing. And you began to see the people that checked up on you and that you were checking up on. Those are the people that you kind of really fucked with. And so I feel really great and confident about my core. My core people are super amazing, hardworking people that are doing unbelievable things out there. And this George Floyd is another drop off of a bunch of people. You look at another set of people and you realize, yo, that's another positive that's coming out of this. I get to move forward in life with less baggage. I understand where everybody's place is in life, and I know who are the people that are working with a vision that's closer to mine. The thing I think I've learned more than anything in this pandemic is to never underestimate the ability for people to see your vision, which is a big problem I think a lot of us have, because we might dream super big, but who do we tell that to? Who do we really bounce those ideas off of? Who do we really sit down with and say, yo, I got a crazy idea? And that person turn to you and be like, yo, you can do this, let's go. So when you realize that you're in a space now where you have less friends, you have less communication, you're not going out, there's no drinks after work, there's no hangout on the weekends, but you still have these ideas, um, you really get to see who are the people that you can bounce the ideas off, who are the real people that are in your corner. And those are the people that you should move forward with. And so you get to put your vision in front of somebody else, and you get to realize like, yo, my vision is not that crazy because I've surrounded my people with visions. I've surrounded myself with visionaries. And so they can see what I'm seeing, and I can see what they're seeing. My quarantine sound clash, that's a crazy idea. Why am I having two DJs battle every single Sunday? It was one of those ideas that some people at the beginning were like, yo, man, people are not going to watch this because they only like to see it live. It's a thing that when you're live in person watching DJs battle, yo, it's mind blowing. You're like, yo, the level of skill here is amazing. Why it's going to be totally different, right? There's no crowd in front of them to feed off of. There's no da da da. And it ended up working. And that's because I have surrounded myself with people that were like, yo, this is a good idea. And there's a person I know that can help, or I can help. And it went forward really quickly. It went from an idea to an actuality in 4 days.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
So big up everybody, man. Big up. I really appreciate anybody out there who's been a part of my life before. Thank you so much for the time that we've spent. I'm sure we'll see each other. We'll do laps, and we'll, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if we're going to ever shake hands again in this world, but whatever it is we do, you know, if it's a head nod, or I don't know if I don't know if in the
elbow.
I don't know if in the countries of where you guys are from, if the nose and the mouth are like big communication tools, but I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
And so you know you'll be like, you know, you'll acknowledge people the way you know you are. We will in the new norm. But I appreciate those people so much. They allowed me to see the things more clearer. Now I'm able to move forward, and I would just move forward without them. Again, I appreciate them. Everybody, yo, the time we spent was amazing. But I move forward now with a much tighter core of people, and I know greatness is on its way.
So I want to thank you because you dropped a few gems here. You know,
Sure.
I always like having conversations with people that I always walk away with something out of that conversation.
Sure, man. We really appreciate your insight and your
Yeah.
out. I need to learn a little bit about farming. That's been my passion too. I can't do it because I'm in an apartment in the Bronx. So all I got is my little plants. You know, like.
But that's a start.
Yeah. Love to grow some food. I think it's dope that you get to do it out in Jamaica. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry that I was a little bit late, but I got some technical difficulties over here.
Nah, it's all love, man. I really appreciate you guys. And this was a lot of fun, man. Thank you, Jaylah, for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for
I wanna
always
thank you.
joining and being so kind. And we always have good conversation, and you know, and I
Yeah, I'm glad that we can bring our private conversations that me and you have on a show, and hopefully people walk away with this with some form of motivation or inspiration, and that's all that matters to me, man. And you know, of course, all of us are out here, so anyone can reach any one of us. Um, I don't think we're in a space where people can genuinely act too busy. You know what I'm saying? So you know, anybody who ever wants to just connect, man, I'm always down. Like I said, networking, collaboration, that is the key right now. So if somebody sees something in one of us here, that they go, yo, I need to collaborate with that person because I think that me and that person will be able to make something insane, reach out, because you know, the most we can say is no.
And especially right now, having just real conversations is super important. Real conversations, real communication,
And connecting with someone.
real, like actually connecting with people on a real level, not just talking about what we have to talk about. It's a nice feeling.
Well, I honestly, yeah, I tell this to all our guests. Anyone that comes on becomes part of the family. And that's truly how it's been. We still to this day collaborate with the first guest we have on to the last guest we have on. So welcome to the family. Thank you for
Big
coming on,
up,
for
La Familia.
dropping a lot of gems on us. And hopefully when this is over, we could, share a couple drinks uptown.
Notice, man. You know me. You know me and my Mufungo, man. I don't play.
Oh,
And then
You know?
we'll obviously have to invite the boys to a rum and bass when that comes
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. Come to Rum and Bass, man.
Good times.
Yeah, man. All the rum on me, man. All the Brugal
Yeah.
on me.
So thank you for coming on, Chalky. Chalky. I was thinking of I've been watching Boardwalk Empire.
Chalky Fire.
I've
Chalky
been
Fire.
I've been watching Boardwalk Empire so much because I never saw the show when it was originally on. And like I'm thinking, okay, I'm on season 3, episode whatever, and Chalky White is on it. So Walshy Fire.
Yeah,
oh,
man.
yeah. Thank you, bro.
First
Yeah,
time
big up,
I'm
man.
guess his name, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Big up,
Thank
man.
you.
Much respect. Everybody out there, if you got anything, just hit me up. Follow me on the Instagram. You know what it is. Don't know. One love, everybody.
One love.
Yeah, man.